So behind
I
you,
did.
Trump. Let's come towards the towards geopolitics. He made a visit while you were in China. He came to Malaysia. He went to Japan. He went down to South Korea. How do you summarize this? Give us your opinion. And by the way, your camera just zoomed in. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't figured out this is a new camera, so
Okay.
he automatically follows
Your
my
face.
movement
Yeah.
of my head. So
Yeah.
sometimes if my head move and you try to adjust, I
Okay.
haven't figured out I
Okay.
need to play with the settings.
Okay.
But anyway, so in in what Trump was doing, the he went for the APEC, but he actually didn't stay for the APEC summit. He did the pre-APEC summit. He went to Malaysia where he claimed credit again as a peacemaker for settling Cambodia and Thailand dispute, and those leaders graciously, gave him that because that makes him happy, and then he ostensibly signed a lot of the rare earth supply agreement with these countries, so Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia. But those what people don't realize is the hard part is not digging out the rare earth out of the earth's crust. As long as you have those mines, you can dig them out. Um, what China dominate is in the rare earth processing part. So even if you can get your rare earth from Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, or Australia, you still need to send over to China for processing. And that's what was happening in US as well. So the largest rare earth mine is Mountain Pass mine in California. So up to April this year, they were still sending rare earth from California
To
to
China.
China for processing, because US doesn't have the refining capability. And so a lot of what lot Trump does is for optics, for photo ops, because he's a reality TV show host. That he know how to play for the camera, and he knows what will make him look good. But the optics will still not change the reality on the ground, and the big result is his meeting with Xi Jinping in South Korea, right? And that during that meeting, this we have what I call the second ceasefire in the trade war. We had the first ceasefire when Scott Bessent chased down the Chinese vice premier to Europe. Um, but that ceasefire was broken in September when U.S. Commerce Department decided to slap out so-called BIS 50% rule to expand the number of Chinese semiconductor companies that's on U.S. government blacklist. So you went from originally they had U.S. government placed 1,400 Chinese semiconductor companies on the entity list. They expanded that number to 20,000. So any company that's more than 50% owned by a Chinese parent company now will be subjected to U.S. Commerce Department entity list. So this is how U.S. government went. As part of that, U.S. government actually went over to Dutch government and told them, "Hey, we are aware there's a Dutch company, Nexperia, that's 100% owned by a Chinese parent company, Wintech. Guess what? We're gonna place Nexperia on our entity list unless you do something." So Dutch government actually seized Nexperia from its Chinese owner, citing a very dubious wartime provision, and that created a whole semiconductor supply chain disruption because a lot of the car companies were depending on Nexperia to supply their semiconductors, and the company that the Dutch government sees is the Nexperia headquarters in Netherlands, but the manufacturing arm of Nexperia, which actually makes those semiconductors, is still in China. So the Chinese government told the Nexperia China, is like, okay, you know what? You don't need to listen to your headquarters anymore because it was an illegal seizure by the Dutch government. You just need to make sure you supply the Chinese car companies first with your semiconductors. For the agreement that Nexperia have signed to supply other car companies, well, You don't need to worry about that. Those companies, if they want semiconductors, they have to negotiate with you to sign a new contract. So this caused a big panic. A lot of the car companies, both German automakers, Japanese, American automakers, they're complaining they're weeks from running out of semiconductors for their cars. This is why Japan shut down their car plant in Mexico because they're running out. And and uh, and this is a completely self-inflicted problem. And guess what? As a result of Xi Trump meeting, United States roll back. They walk back on they decide to suspend the BIS 50% rule for another year. In return, China decide to suspend their new more stringent export control on rare earths, which they roll out in October 9th in response to the U.S. Commerce Department's BIS 50% rule. So China decided to suspend that rare earth export control for another year. But the previous export control on rare earths that which China had placed on, earlier this year, that is still very much in effect. So that means the U.S. military industrial complex is still not getting their hands on those rare earths. And in essence, this is a Trump capitulation again. He kind of walked back on a lot of the tariff he imposed in China. So today, the effective tariff rate on China is about somewhere around 20%. So it's about the same level as on a lot of the so-called U.S. allies. I'm talking about UK, Canada, Australia, etc. So all the people that had moved their supply chain out of China in April in response to the so-called Liberation Day announcement by Trump administration, they got screwed. They just wasted 7 months of time, energy, and money to move their supply chain away. They would have been better off had they just stayed in China. So nobody, how is everybody going to trust the Trump administration again? They keep on doing this. This is completely self-inflicted uh, because the market really hates uncertainty. And what Trump administration did with his tariff deal is introducing a lot of uncertainty in the market. It was not good for business. It's not good for America. But that's fine because Trump can always convince his base that he's winning. He's winning so much that they will be tired of winning, which is fine because for the rest of the world, that is just okay.
I just want to like touch on the Zohan Mamdani episode happening in New York. It's very important what you think about this. What do you think about his win in because you've also had a good time in America. What do you think about this? New York electing Zohran Mamdani as the mayor and coming right from the grassroots level because it's a mayoral seat.
Well, this is a big deal because New York is, the biggest city in the United States. And this is really a vote against the Zionists and against the billionaires. Because, we know Zionist billionaire like Bill Hackman have put into a lot of money to go against election of Madani, right? So in a way, this is a vote against the establishment of the United States. Like people are tired of this lies of these Zionists, these billionaire class telling them what to do. And they try to impose their will on people. I mean, it was very blatant during the whole campaign. Um, so this is a reaction to that. Now this is a big deal because it does show the grassroots demands change in U.S. They want the government to stop supporting Israel and to start investing domestically to its infrastructure, to its own people. But whether Madani election will change anything, I'm always take the wait and see approach because a lot of the right now I understand there's a lot of um, there's there's a lot of energy around Mandani's getting elected. What he reminded me of was 2016 Obama election because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm old enough to remember the Obama election when Obama promised change. And Obama also came from the grassroots, right? And so I being a little older now, a little bit skeptical, I'm gonna take a wait and see approach to see what Madani actually do for the city of New York.
Mm,
Because right now, there's also signs that the establishment is trying to co-opt him. You have Obama now coming out to certainly trying to get close to Madani and offering Madani advice, and then you have the son of George Soros, Alex Soros, post a picture of him and posing with Madani. So I'm gonna have to do a wait and see approach to see if Madani can he resist, being pulled back into the democratic machine, the machine of Democratic Party, even though the Democratic Party has tried to sabotage his campaign every step of the way. So that's a real test because this is in U.S. Um, it's always recently I watched a interview with Professor Jeffrey Sachs. He talk about who really runs the United States. You say, it's not the elected officials. It's those men in suits. It's a deep state that's running things. And when a person wins election, then you have all these men in suits come to them. It's like, okay, that's great. Congratulations. Now you got to do what we want you to do. So I'm gonna take a wait and see approach to see what happens now. Whether Madani will be able to resist the pullback into the machine, or whether he will be able to deliver the promise he made to the voters of New York.
well, I think how big of a problem renting is in New York and their transport. But he has good ideas, but Trump is also looking to like tighten some screws up. Revenue coming from the federal side. So I don't know how he's going to do that. He's going to do that by taxing the billionaires. Billionaires didn't like him in the first place. So free transport is going to be a big problem, and the rent thing is also going to be a big problem. Let's see how it works out. True that. What do you see
If if,
next?
if
Yeah.
Madani are able to deliver on his promises, I'm all for it. I'm just wait. Being a American voter for most of my life, I have become a little bit jaded, a little bit cynical. So this is why I always take a wait and see approach. Like Confucius says, listen to one's words, but watch one's actions.
Actions. There you go. But there's a lot of there is a point, and it's a pretty heavy point. This is the first job Mamdani has ever did. I mean, he was an intern with, I think, with his mom at somewhere, and that is it. So I don't know. I mean, his ideas are good. Yeah.
That's where I kind of little bit worries me because that's where I see the Obama parallel, right?
Yeah.
Obama, I mean, the same thing.
Yeah.
Obama was a community organizer before he went to got elected to the Illinois Senate, and Obama became the face of Wall Street. And he got packaged as this presentable, acceptable, very well spoken face of Wall Street, even though he came to power, came to office promising change. In the end, nothing got changed. So that thing is a little bit worrying about me, kind of the similarity between him and Obama. But we'll have to see. I'm willing to give him benefit of doubt. So let's see.